Really excited to talk about over the next 25 minutes some of the key features and some of the use cases that this release has really given a lot of benefits to the community, to your teams, and I'm looking forward to bring that to the forum and to the webinar this afternoon. So again, welcome to everybody. Hopefully everybody's had a good day. You might be at the end or might be at the beginning, but really good to see everybody in here. So look, we should ought to celebrate, and definitely wanted to say fantastic. 1.2.2 is out in the market on the Atlassian marketplace, and there's just a few announcements that I wanted to share with the team. We're really proud to say that Vansah has achieved the badge of being cloud fortified. If you do all your searches on the Atlassian market, this is one of the highest badge to achieve as an application partner to the Atlassian market, and we're really proud to have achieved that. And it just means that there's a lot of key capabilities, processes that the product team has created a product that's trustworthy, that's secure, and has met the compliance and obligations as a partner to the Atlassian marketplace. So well done to the team, and congratulations on everybody for that major feat. I'm also proud to announce that the Vansah Connect integrations is now open and available in the marketplace as well. Now, what I'm really excited about is that there are continuous integrations that's going to open up the usage of Vansah plugin for JIRA. Hopefully in the next month or so, or definitely in the next new releases, there'll be plenty more integrations coming through to Vansah, and basically allowing a lot more capability with integration to various platforms, continuous delivery, CI/CD, DevOps. And what it basically means in a nutshell is that this here will accelerate or expand the capability of your teams to connect to other integrations and frameworks and processes, which is really, really exciting. So check it out on the website, but definitely keep an eye and watch this space as we progress through. The other announcement that I wanted to sort of share with everybody is becoming a partner. So that now is open to anyone that wishes to be a partner of Vansah. And so check it out on the website, and really pleased to be working alongside various vendors to really expand their capability and their reach of how they use Vansah for JIRA and expanding their way of working on a day-to-day. So really pleased to call out those key announcements this afternoon. But without any further ado, I would like, again, I love this celebration balloon there, whatever we want to call it. But I wanted to talk about this afternoon what were some of the key features for 1.2.2. As you can see in here, there are basically four key areas that we included in the 1.2.2 release, which is just around, first thing is around traceability, and just having the ability to drill down and improve your experience as you analyze and as you take your workflow on the actual JIRA screens, and how you get from issues to test cases. So it's really, really a fantastic feature to utilize those traceability capabilities. The other areas is around reusability. Often we hear, by the way, can I just make a shout out to the community? Without your continuous feedback and continuous, providing better ways to work is where we are with development of new features. So I just wanted to props to the community for doing that, and continue to do that, because without your input, there'll definitely be none of the some of the exciting features that will come through. But definitely have contributed a lot to some of these fantastic capabilities that are available now in the Vansah for JIRA. The third area is around collaboration, and this is an increased and improved way of working and reporting, and I suppose collaborating with your teams using test run properties and meaningful analysis, and also a high level of improved experience around providing test evidence and just improve user experience in general. working through from left to right as you carry out your test within your teams. Some of the key fixes that I'll touch on as well has been around the Vansah board user experience. If you're not familiar, around history revisions of your test artifacts in Vansah, there's been some improvement around that. Likewise, around the test run results, the importing of test cases into Vansah itself. And you may have noticed, if you're already using the 1.2.2 version, is around the filters that are being used to sort of filter through some of your test artifacts in the issue screen and so forth. That's just a quick update on some of the key new features. And in this call in here, we're going to provide a sample and step through some of the use cases. But before we do that, some really exciting features that are coming up. And again, props to the community. You have been amazing in providing feedback. Really exciting to announce that in the upcoming release, you've got features like traceability report. And this has been a really hot topic by the community with their wishes to be able to trace through the artifacts from issues right down through the test results. Associated incidents or defects or bugs, and this capability that's coming out, it will allow you to pick your list, create your filters, and even down to creating and building your JQL queries within JIRA itself. And that will give you a trace through your hierarchy between your parent issues and your child. So I'm really excited, to be honest, to this latest release and upcoming around traceability, because that really is going to add a lot of value to you in your teams, in how you maneuver and how you report. Just very quickly around test creation, around cross projects, I think that at the moment there's definitely the ability to create test cases across your various projects, but it's just a lot more improved and increased experience around that. There's going to be improved search and filter capability. And again, as I said, parent-child gadget test reporting. There's also a big demand around importing, the ability to import test cases that will be linked to your local project or multiple projects, which is what we refer to as foreign projects. And also, without any further ado, there will be the ability to integrate to your respective frameworks. A lot of teams around the world today, they choose their own test framework, whether it'll be Maven, whether it'll be TestNG and the likes, and then have the ability to integrate or send those results into their JIRA projects through Vansah, which is really exciting. So definitely keep an eye out on that, and can't wait to see that release becoming available very shortly. But just for the purpose of our webinar this afternoon, I'll be providing a use case on how we can see some of these features into action. And as I said previously, the traceability around drill downs, reusability is a really big benefit to teams. I often hear teams wanting to reuse their test cases. And so we'll get a chance to showcase on how to reuse existing test cases that have already been built, therefore avoiding teams from having to recreate test artifacts from scratch. So that's a really, really amazing feature there. Again, collaboration, increased visibility around sharing your test results and being able to write a test artifact once and be able to reuse that, but also leveraging of the power of your test run properties to manage different test objectives. So write once, run as many times, again, as many test run properties. So that's the power around collaboration. And then the fourth area here is I will showcase the improved experience and streamlining your workflow. So simply your workflow is creating a test plan, building your test cases against that test plan, execute and report. So if we really wanted to simplify that experience, you'd want to streamline that workflow from your left to right with regards to providing and creating test artifacts. So these are some of the areas that we continue to solve for you, for our community, for the customers. And so looking forward to demonstrating that at the moment. So as I said, the key areas that I wanted to, instead of just having a lot of scenarios to showcase in this webinar, I thought it would be really more value to focus on one sample use case and then bring in some of those key features that has been included in the 1.2.2. And so that scenario this afternoon, we're going to replay a very simple use case where we create a test folder, create a plan for the purpose of any test objective. It could be a regression test. It could be a simple sanity test, right? So once we create that, we're going to showcase on how to reuse existing test cases. So today we won't be looking at creating test cases, but reusing test cases, configuring your test run properties, running that test plan or that test folder, and then using your gadget to report and drill down. So we're hoping that this simple use case here is going to concatenate all these key features that I want to sort of step through. And so before we go into to the real deal, let's just have a look. This is the process from left to right. As I said, we're going to create a folder, we're going to reuse, we're going to configure, run, and analyze a report. You want your workflow to be really simple and really easy to follow. Okay. Don't hesitate for any questions. We'll have a lot more questions at the end. But if you feel passionate to ask a question, please put your hand up and happy to interact. But let me step through into our showcase now with regards to Vansah itself. So as you would all be familiar with, when you log into your JIRA instance, when you come into your Vansah board, this is what you see, right? For those who are maybe new to the experience. Now, as I said, we're going to replay or role play how to create a test plan or a test folder. Well, what would be a good example of that? Well, it's very simply, if you get asked by your team to say, look, we really need to run a sanity plan or a regression plan, first thing that you do from your Vansah board in here is you come in and create a test folder. Now, there are a couple of ways of creating a test plan, but I will focus on how I would create a test plan or a test folder for the purpose of this demonstration in here. And so the first thing that you will do is simply create a folder. Now, what does that mean? That means you're saying to yourself, this is our objective. We're going to run a little pilot test, for example. So you create your folder, right? So as you can see in here, that pilot test folder is done. Now, that's your step number one. Now, what you do next, now your workflow is say, well, I want to reuse test cases, and it could be from this project in here, which is team demo, or you might say, look, I'm actually interested to bring or to link some test cases from other projects that you may have access to for the purpose of conducting this pilot test. So we've completed step number one, and number two is quite simple. So when we go drill into that pilot test folder, as you can see, it's a fresh workbench. There's no test cases in there, and your next step is to link. Now, if you notice that in previous versions, this creation of test cases would have set up here at the top, but again, from feedback, it's now being included as part of your workbench here per folder. So let's link a few cases. So it's simply click on the link button. You would have seen this is really powerful. So what I'm saying in here is that I'd like to borrow or reuse a few test cases from this project, right? So I'll say, yep, I'd like that. So I've linked those projects. Now, in the back of your mind, you know that there are other additional test cases from other projects. Very simple. How do we do that? You go back and select your projects. You come in and say, look, I might need to borrow some test cases from the contract management project, right? Yep, just simply selecting that project, and it loads up all those test cases that's living within that project. Okay, I'd like to borrow these 2 test cases to link. You notice that I haven't actually left the experience. I'm right in here, I'm in the zone, I'm selecting my test cases from across various projects because they're all required to formulate my pilot test, right? So again, let me just pick a few more in here, and then I link. And once I've linked, bang, I now have just completed reusing. So this is where the power that we talked about, very simple, create a test plan, bring all your test cases. And as you can see in here, they are prefixed by the project name. So very easily I can say this project, these test cases are from foreign projects TD, ST, TP, and also KTODP, right? So now we've achieved creating a test plan or a test folder. I've now reused those test cases, the power of test cases. Now, what's next? I'm ready to configure this to run it against a particular property. You will notice that you see these new properties right here where you say environment. Now, if you have versions and sprints enabled within your JIRA project, they will also showcase up in here. In this sample here, environment is shown, okay? So again, as I role play, I need to run this pilot test against a specific environment. In this case here, I'll say, look, we need to run it in a dev environment. Simple, done. Your configuration or your test property run is now configured. Very easy. Well, what's next now? Simple. We're just now ready to execute the tests. And so, as you may be aware, there are 2 ways to execute your test cases in Vansah. There's the quick test where you just simply click on the select your results. Now, in some cases, depending on your team, depending on your organization or your company, you may be required to provide detailed tests where you actually need to step into that next screen where you need to provide results for your test steps, results for your attachments and whatnot, right? So you would, in this case here, select the execute button. But then generally a lot of teams that I come to know have also chosen to perform what we call quick test. And that's just basically selecting some of these test results in here. Now, something to keep in mind is that if I click back on this environment and I say E to E, I'm simply saying, I want to know all the test results against that test run property. So that's why you will see no results because, as you have seen, I haven't ran any tests against that property. Again, if we switch back to that test configuration, you can see the latest testing there. So that's just a quick tip for those of you who may be new and who may be wondering why I'm selecting on this particular environment and, hey, I've ran some tests, but I can't see test results. It's simply because of the configuration in here. Now, that is very powerful because, as I said at the top of the call, when you're creating a plan or a folder called pilot test, and when you're adding your test cases to this, if you want to run that against a new set of test run properties, you don't actually have to go, I've got to create a folder, I've got to create a plan, I've got to create new test cases. Absolutely not. Think about what I said previously about simplifying your workflow. You've created your folder once, and this pilot test, you may be executing it numerous times, right? And you've already identified your test cases through linking it from different projects. And now all you do is whatever that next environment or whatever that next test run property may be, you simply select it and you're running those tests again. So that's the power of reuse. That's the power of streamlining. And that's the power of just, keeping your workflow simple and avoids you from having to reclone, recopy. Now, I'm not saying that that's a wrong process. Every team functions differently and every team has different cultures and different processes, right? So what I'm trying to say in here is that you've got a setup in here in Vansah that's flexible to be adopted by, depending on how your team runs and the culture of your team. Now, I've prepared something earlier. So as I said, we've created a test plan folder, we've built our test cases, we've now configured the test run, selecting the test run properties here at the top. And I've showed a little sample of how to execute. Now, let me just go to Sanity Test Plan. This is something that I've already cooked up previously, as the old saying goes. So with Sanity Test Plan, you can see that some of the latest features in here that you're starting to see a few of these beautiful icons that are showcasing in here. Now, simply put, these icons here are basically saying, if you see these icons, it means that those test cases that you've linked or you've curated or you've authored, they have steps. So this particular test case has 7 steps, 3 steps. And not to mention, in future releases, you'll have the ability to edit your test cases from this linkage in here. So again, exciting, keep those feedback coming through. And if you scroll to the right in here, you will see these new arrows popping up out of nowhere. And there's a reason for that. The reason why they pop up is that they're simply saying that for this latest test run for this particular test case, Vansah is telling you that there's 3 attachments that's being linked, and there are also, linked issues associated to that test run. So that's very important. Okay, so whenever you see these arrows here, it's objects or artifacts that's related to the actual test run. Now, as you all know, or some of you are familiar, there are attachments and linked issues that are connected to the test case, but we'll leave that for another time. But in this case in here, you'll start to see some of these errors popping up, and it's simply providing a quick way of accessing your associations. For example, if we click on that error button here, you have the ability to go straight to your linked issues. Click on your linked issues, and now this is the power where, again, you may have remembered me saying that when you have when you fail a test run in your test and you've linked them to issues or bugs and whatnot, you can see that when you actually drill down to those linked issues, you can see that they are coming from different projects. Perfect, because you'd want that ability to say, look, there's a failure here, but it's related to a defect that may exist in another project. So this is where, depending on the maturity of your team and your organization, can get really powerful and leverage off the flexibility of the workflow in here. Okay, so there's only one more step to go, and we've only got a few minutes left in our webinar, and I'll leave that for questioning. So apologies if I haven't covered everything to detail, but we wanted to showcase the simple use case in here. So that last item that I want to cover is how do we drill down from your dashboard. So quickly, let me just bring up my dashboard in here. As you all know, I'm looking at sanity test plan, load up the particular dashboard, and I've prepared this Vansah burn up chart summary report, but this particular gadget in here is based on that particular sanity test plan, as you can see. Now, some of you may have been familiar with this, but as you can see, you can drill down into that. Now, for me personally, when I sort of do my analysis, I like to look at failures. So in this example here, I click on the failure in here, you have the ability to drill down now. So again, that was one of the key features that was released for 1.2.2, okay? Now, well, what do I do with this screen? Now, this screen helps me by looking at saying, look, I'm looking for a particular test case of interest that I really want to sort of hone into, but I also want to see what were the results for that. So you can see that workflow allows me to drill down to my latest results. You might be playing a role of Scrum Master or product master, or even a tester within your teams, and you have the ability to sort of drill down. Okay, again, let me just quickly showcase on the burn up chart as well. You also have the ability to drill down in your tabular sections around here. Again, having the ability to drill down to your lowest artifact, which is your test run. So I guess just in summary, the idea of simplifying your workflow depending on what your objective is, whether you're creating a plan, rerunning a test, we hopefully have showcased how simple it is to get from left to right, which is what we call workflow, and hopefully you will leverage and benefit from 1.2.2 and all the latest and greatest features that are there now with Vansah for JIRA available in the Atlassian marketplace. Well, thank you all, Tim. I just want to open this up a quick rapid fire session for any questions to the floor. Feel free to ask any questions while we're there now.
Hala, just a question from my end.
Sure.
So, the test cases where the test environment property has been changed to UAT and end-to-end, is there any facility on the dashboard where I can filter or drill down for environment to search for those specific test cases?
Yeah, definitely. So if I was to go into here and just edit my JIRA gadgets,
Yeah.
then just go into configure, as you may have known, and then you can
Wow.
actually
Test
look at,
environment. Ah, okay. That's good.
yeah,
Earlier it was not there. Yeah, sure.
look at, and I'll probably say these features have existed prior to 1.22, and it's only going to get powerful with some of the future releases that's coming through when we're going to be releasing JQL queries, filters, lists. Look, it's going to be really, really exciting. But to answer your point there, Kavita, use these filters here to really hone in on some of those test run properties that you're interested in. Thanks, Kavita. Hopefully I answered your question.
Yeah. That's really cool. Thanks,
Excellent.
Emma.
No worries. Does anybody have any other questions for me? Put me on the hot seat, everybody.
Can I add something quickly? That list, so that icon you have there, next to the arrow, next to the result for the test run. So one very beneficial feature from that, because it's opening up these linked issues in JIRA. So if you open up that linked issues, just as an example, what could be a very good supporting sort of example use case of what happened here is we now know that these are the issues that have sort of come as part of an interest. Let's say, as an example, you can add more issues in the query of JIRA's JQL query, but from here you could save this as a saved search, right? So you could sort of, I think in JIRA you could sort of say, all right, share this and save it as a filter. I think there you go. Yeah. But by adding that as a special filter, you could sort of make that a public filter, private filter. But with the gadgets where they're heading, the benefit of this is you could sort of target these issues, save it as a filter in your gadgets. You will now be able to include that filter in your gadgets. That in the version you're looking at doesn't support that now. But instead of you having to go through, filter all the issues and trying to remember what they are, you pull those issues straight into that gadget and report on it. So as an example of what we're talking about, the current release is working on one of the gadgets, which is the requirement traceability report, for you to not have to just rely on selecting issue individually, but for you to build your JQL search, in JIRA. So if you sort of, in the next release, I think we'll do a demo on that, but that's sort of, that same issue search here appears in the gadget, where you can use JIRA's properties to find the issues from all different projects, or grab that filter you just created, or use the list, which is currently what we support, which is the list dropdown. All right, so it's going to really help the teams sort of be productive and sort of bring in data and share that data. So it could be a list that was created by a product owner, team manager, whoever it is that's sort of managing the project. And now you know, well, these are the target test cases that we need to work on. So you just grab that, put it into your test execution report, summary report, and you work straight off that list, right? You're not having to recreate it and think of what you need. So there's going to be a lot of benefit in incorporating in there. Yeah. So that's really good that you've covered that here. But an example, I just thought I'd mention that as part of maybe use cases.
Now, thank you very much for that, Benny. Look, it's going to be amazing. Again, we always talk about streamlining and simplifying your workflow, and that was very prominent in what I shared previously with regards to what's coming. And again, just coming back to these upcoming releases around here, and that's exactly what we're sort of talking about. The ability now to say, regardless of whether my issues of interest or my test cases of interest, they reside in different projects, there's no more constraints. Use a JQL, use a saved filter to bring all those issues and be able to say, give me the shape of my quality, of my testing quality, give me the shape of my testing results based on these capabilities. So really looking forward to it, really excited. And I'm going to close the call in about 60 seconds unless anybody else have any questions for me.
No news is good news, I guess. I take it, Hala. I think your special word today was powerful. Power. I think you used that maybe 100 times. So I think you're full of power. So you've empowered us today. So thank you.
Thanks.
Look, thank you so much, team. Yes, I think.
I guess someone was trying to ask a question while I was saying. I guess.
No, I was saying that it is a very good implementation that's happened, an upgrade. We've actually started to use it in our practice throughout our clients. So it's a good way to sort of arrange your test runs, you know, and get them executed. And especially in sequence testing, you know, you can just put them into folders and get people allocated with the test cases they need within their specific folder, their specific role. It's just a lot easier.
No, absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Jihad, for that. Look, there's, as I said at the top of the call, there are different ways to skin the cat, so to speak, in creating a plan, in creating, you know, regardless of what your test objective will be. Vansah, the platform Vansah for JIRA is about being flexible. It's about, you know, making it easier and just simplifying the workflow. So look, let's really look forward to the upcoming release. Otherwise, I think there's a few that threw up the questions. I think it's time to probably present you with a Vansah t-shirt in our next webinar for being bold in participating in our webinar this afternoon. But otherwise, everybody keep well and looking forward to seeing you all in our next session webinar for release. And don't forget to continue those community sharing and collaborating, as there's plenty of good stuff that's coming through in there.
Can I just, before you end quickly, I think some may have some specific needs where they would like one-on-one sort of special meetings to discuss a requirement. I think Kavita has been a good example of, you know, elaborating more on some of those requirements she has. So we recommend and look forward to sort of request, you know, for meeting time to sort of go through some of your needs, because that's what we want to be known as an app that sort of very much cares for our customers and their usage and sort of what's been fed into feedback and so forth from different stakeholders and users. So we recommend that you do reach out, sort of ask not just for a chat, but can you sort of do a one-on-one? We'd like to go through some of the sort of the requirements that you're thinking of. So specifically on, like, one of the feedbacks is on the burn up excluding weekends. For some people it may work well as it is, but there's, I guess for others it's sort of not exactly there. But for us to better understand that, I think if you sort of want to organize a one-on-one, we would be more than sort of willing and happy to accommodate that with you individually.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Fed. Well, everybody, keep safe, and until next time, keep well. Thank you all.